Welcome back to another episode of Four Down Territory. My name is Miles. Alongside me, as always, my co-host Sam. The Pro Bowl voting or official rosters are now out, Sam. As per usual, they have caused some controversy in the world of the NFL Twitter and every other form of social media platform, with each fan saying that their favourite player should be included.
It's always the way, isn't it? And I suppose it's quite fun. The thing with Pro Bowl voting is the majority of the time it is just a popularity contest, isn't it? We see the league's favourite players get in. That's why Travis Kelce's been nominated twice, 2 years in a row, been the most voted on player because he's a popular guy. Like, it's not. Let's be honest, he did deserve some votes on the caliber of his play, but it's also just because he's one of the league's most popular players. But yeah, it's good fun to go through and see the snubs, the guys who we thought should have got in. I always think with Pro Bowling, I have a bit of a funny attitude with Pro Bowling because realistically it should be similar to All Pro where it's the league's top players in those positions going. But I like to think of it as, there's some people that don't need to, that I don't necessarily vote. Like when I do my voting, I don't know if you do the Pro Bowl voting, but when I do my voting, I don't think of doing the really obvious players unless they really, really deserve to go in. I want to see like when I'm looking at tight ends, I want to vote for guys like Kyle Pitts, like Jake Ferguson, like even Harold Fannin, because they're the guys that
they deserve it.
Don't get many opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, rather than just seeing your obvious ones, your McBrides, Bowers, whatever. They're the guys I vote for because they're the guys I think it would mean more to anyway. But in terms of the snubs, it's good to see sometimes because there's some players that definitely deserve to get in, and it riles them up as well. I mean, I haven't seen any yet, but I feel like every year there's a tweet or two from players here and there.
I haven't seen many.
Like
or like noted or something, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that because I'm sure there will be some that come out. Before we dive into it though, Sam, do you have a stat of the week for this week?
Oh, I do, and I forgot to prepare it.
I can go first while you find yours.
Go for it.
Okay, so there's a fun fact about two teams in the NFL: the New England Patriots and the New York Giants. The Patriots are 12-13, and the Giants are 2-13, both tied for the best and worst record, respectively. However, they both only have 2 wins above 500 teams this season. The Giants, that would be the Eagles and the Chargers, and the Patriots would be the Buccaneers and the Bills.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's good news and bad news for this one, Miles. The bad news is that I'd saved that stat as well, but the good news is there was another one that I've got. So I do have a replacement stat, so we are all good. But yeah, it's mad. 12-3 versus 2-13, and beating the same top teams feels, the same caliber of teams, I should say. Feels a bit wild, and it certainly brings back all the allegations against the Patriots not beating any good teams. But then again, you like they always say, you can only play who's in front of you.
Exactly.
I've got quite a good stat. I forgot. I must have got this back last week actually. Carson Palmer, Miles, taking us way back.
We're going back, yeah.
We're going back. He's the only quarterback to have a winning record on the Arizona Cardinals with a minimum of 15 starts.
Because Kyler's obviously been stinking it up.
Kurt
Warner? Kurt Warner only had one really successful season, though, didn't he? Yeah.
There you go. That's the thing. I don't know, but yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. The only quarterback to have a winning record on the Cardinals with a minimum of 15 starts. I don't know whether it's over. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that might be right. Yeah, that probably is right.
It'll be over their career with the Cardinals. I imagine. So maybe Kurt Warner, outside of that one season,
he probably had a few losing seasons.
Had a few tanks, yeah. But
gosh, he was good though.
That is as sad as it sounds.
If you think about Carson Palmer's career, obviously it was the majority of the time on the Bengals, struggling with the Bengals, and then had that terrible stint with the Raiders and revitalized his career. Oh yeah, looking at Kurt Warner, really struggled in his first couple of years at Arizona and just finished
27
on 2 winning seasons
in total, I think.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay, that's pretty cool. Carson Palmer deserves a bit more respect.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I loved Carson Palmer that year with the Cardinals when they had that fairy tale run in the playoffs that just wasn't meant to be. What year was that? Was that 2014, 2015.
2015.
Yeah, 15,
yeah, because they lost to the Panthers in the conference championship.
That's
obviously,
right,
when
of course they did.
Palmer was injured. He did his ACL, didn't he, earlier on in the season? It was Drew Stanton leading them in the playoffs. Right, Sam, let's dive into this. The NFL officially announced their Pro Bowl rosters for this season. We will go through it position by position for both conferences, and we can throw in a few names that we think deserve to be mentioned. Starting off, quarterbacks. For the NFC, Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford. For the AFC, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Drake May. Any snubs for you, Sam, in this particular position?
NFC, you can't count out Dak and Stafford. They have to be there. Darnold, I think, is deserving. Another guy who, again, if we go to what I said earlier about how I like to vote for things, I would have liked to see Caleb in it. I can't lie. That's obviously there's a personal bias. We know I'm a big Caleb Williams fan, but I've got no problem with Darnold getting there. He's obviously been fantastic this year and set records, hasn't he, for the amount of wins back-to-back seasons with, was it 12 plus wins on different teams? I think that's the first time in NFL history. So big for him. Outside of that, there's guys like Brock Purdy, but he hasn't had the amount of games to really warrant it, I don't think. And that there's not really many other big candidates that are more deserving than those three.
Yeah, I'd like to throw in. I think Brock Purdy shot's actually really good, especially after his performance against the Colts. If he did that throughout the whole season, my goodness, he'd be easily the number one player in the Pro Bowl for this season. I'd like to throw in Jordan Love because I think he's been really good this year.
Yeah,
and AFC wise, I think it's too hard to replace any of the AFC ones. I think they've got it, but honourable mention. I'm going to throw Trevor Lawrence's name in there. I know I get a lot of slack for my support in Trevor Lawrence, but especially after watching a full game of him on Sunday, I just thought, wow, what a complete quarterback he was, and dissected the Broncos defense. Amazing. What was he on, like 3,500 passing yards, 26 touchdowns? He's having a very good year. But I'm happy with the three they've picked there. I don't think anyone comes close. Nice to not see Patrick Mahomes for once as well.
yeah. I mean, I feel like he did all right in the fan voting, didn't he? But then I guess with the maybe with the injury that changed after that. But the one I would have said if I was to replace someone, and I think Trev's a good shout. I want to look at. I've just forgotten who was.
You've thrown it off.
Crikey. It wasn't Bo. I didn't know if you were going to pull up Bo.
No, I can't quite put Bo in
there. If he wasn't injured, Daniel Jones making the Pro Bowl for his efforts in that
Daniel
first
Jones.
half of the season would have been phenomenal. I mean, it wasn't meant to be in the end, but you can't overlook how he had the Colts rolling those first 8 weeks, and obviously devastating that he's out for the season. But it would have been nice for him to get the nod, even if it was just to vote him in, knowing that he couldn't couldn't play, just so he had the vote to his name, and then obviously got taken had an alternate take his place. But never mind.
Running backs, moving on. Let's go to Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, and Bijan Robinson in the NFC. And for the AFC, Devon Achane, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor. I think there's no arguments for any of these.
This is the easiest vote ever. I think there's, again, like there always is, there's guys who you'd like to see maybe get that recognition, but there's no way they get the recognition over these guys. I mean, looking at Kyron Williams, Travis Etienne, Derrick Henry, and Javonte Williams, they're the guys who I think will probably be the alternates. I haven't seen the alternate list actually, but I imagine they're next men up. But this is a unbelievable set of 6 players. There's no way you're beating any of them. This
is completely correct. There should be no changes to this. I completely respect the on the bubble shouts of the Travis Etienne's, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs, players like that. But these guys are in a completely different level and completely deserve to be in this position. It's nice that there's no arguments there, and I think that almost just goes for fullbacks as well. It's always Carl Juszczyk and Patrick Ricard. There is no other fullback that ever gets the nod. It will always be these two.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of comes to the popularity thing. I feel like there's obviously a very big set of fans that aren't engaged with fullbacks and pick the two bigger names and obviously use checks to do it all. Fullback, Ricard's the best blocking fullback in the league, so it's easy to pick them two. We had Reggie Gillum as a shout, didn't we? Where
Yeah.
him for the AFC. CJ Ham's one.
I
that
think
always
CJ
gets
Ham deserves to
mentioned.
be in there. I really do.
Yeah,
I think he's so good.
He is.
I'm-
And it's one of those things where fullback, they're just, it's tough. Only one of them's getting in. It almost feels like you need a second fullback to get in just to give another guy some respect. But
I thought it was quite impressive that obviously Carl Juszczyk was leading the fan vote. Patrick Ricard came in at 8th position for the fan vote. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 AFC fullbacks above him. So he's done very well, obviously, by his peers to get him into the Pro Bowl there.
I think the thing is as well is, he did miss a lot of games, didn't he? He only came in week 8, I think. So he obviously missed a chunk of the season. But oh my God, it was so obvious how much he was missed. Anyone who watched the Ravens run game, like the difference between those first 6 games to after the bye week when he came back. And I can't remember his name. We had a guy coming from the practice squad, double barrel name. It's like Mitchell something. He was, nothing against him, but you could just tell the difference in class between a practice squad elevation and a fullback who's been to the Pro Bowl basically every year. He's been a starter for the Ravens because he's just that key to our run game.
Yeah.
He had a phenomenal block on the in the Patriots game to seal a touchdown for Derrick Henry, and it's just stuff like that every game we see, whether he's operating from that tight end position or the fullback position, he's the best blocker we've got. So
absolutely,
I feel like he deserves it.
Let's move on to wide receivers, Sam. I found this quite funny because in the fan vote there was only one AFC player in the entirety of the fan top 10.
We said this, didn't we? A couple weeks
you did
ago.
A stat of the week, which was really
That's
good,
right.
saying that there in regards to receiving yards, there was only
receiving yards,
3. What was it? 3 in the top 20 for AFC players. I thought that was really impressive. It's obviously dominated by big names in the NFC here. Puka Nacua, George Pickens, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Amon-Ra St. Brown take it for the NFC. And for the AFC, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, and Courtland Sutton. I would have not thought Courtland Sutton would have got in there. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's obviously the 7 touchdowns that he's got this year has carried him over, has a chance to become an 1,000-yard receiver as well, which is pretty cool. Zay Flowers, the first receiver to ever get in by having more fumbles than touchdowns, which is pretty cool.
That's
Sam.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on. I think it's funny, really, when you look at the selection of AFC receivers, and it's easy to laugh at Zay Flowers and Courtland Sutton making it and think surely there's better alternatives. I'm not so sure there is. Like even just scrolling through a list of players here, where I'm seeing there's T Higgins, there's Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, DK, Stephon Diggs. There's no one really outstanding. I feel like there's a very obviously you've got Chase and who's the other one? Nico, obviously, who are just
they're your number ones.
Yeah. They're always getting in. But yeah, outside of that, in terms of AFC receivers, I think there's definitely a second tier, and they're all among the sort of same area. I tell you what, if he was there for the full season, you know who I'd be voting in? That's Jacoby Myers for the Jag. The way he's played since he's come to Jacksonville is unbelievable, and he's been so key for them.
He's completely elevated that passing game. They were so reliant on Brian Thomas, and obviously Brian Thomas had far, far too many drops this year. And it's nice to see that they've now got that number 2 receiver who's actually turning out to be a stud in Jacoby Myers. And I wouldn't be surprised if they are desperately trying to keep him under contract as well going into the future. Tight ends, Sam, for the NFC, I think no debates. George Kittle and Trey McBride. George Kittle obviously missing some time, but I just think the way he's come back has just been unbelievable. AFC, Brock Bowers, Travis Kelce. I know that you'll be throwing the name in for Tyler Warren. I think he definitely deserves a shout to be in there with how well he has performed as a rookie. And then, like you said earlier, Kyle Pitts has been astonishing, finally showing the value at the number 4 overall pick.
Yeah, well, he's obviously second in the league in yards. I think it's second in catches as well, I want to say. Or third, tied second in catches with Jake Ferguson. doing that with with more targets. Never mind. But Jake Ferguson and Kyle Pitts are the two guys that you'd love to see get a Pro Bowl nod. It's just the fact that Trey McBride and George Kittle are the two best in the business, aren't they? There's no one like them, so there's nothing you can really do about that. On the AFC side, like we said, Travis Kelce and Brock Bowers, two phenomenal players. If there was someone that we'd like to replace them with, like you said, Tyler Warren, I'm going to sound biased, going to sound like a fanboy Harold fan, and I would love to see him get a Pro Bowl nod. Cool. But there'll be time in his career. He's going to have a nice career ahead of him the way he's played this rookie season. And again, it's one of those things where they don't deserve that Pro Bowl spot, but they need some recognition. Guys like AJ Barner, for God's sake, where's he come from? But he's not at the Pro Bowl level. No, but I just think a guy that you'd love to give some respect to. I hope that he's somewhere in the alternate list and might be able to work his way in. But it's not easy when you're tight and there's not enough positions going. Really, I
think that'd be real. I'd be very surprised if AJ Barner was on there. I think
there's too many good NFC Titans ahead of them, isn't there? Really, that's the problem.
Yeah, you would have done a very good job to squeeze in above those guys to get the nod. Right, let's move on to centers, Sam. Tough position for people to analyze and pick on who they think should make it. I believe that Drew Dalman walked away with the fan vote, as most Chicago Bears players were able to do with the with the fan vote, and they did a phenomenal job there. The picks for it were Drew Dalman and Cam Jurgens. And then for the AFC, Creed Humphrey and Tyler Linderbaum. So another Raven making it in, Sam.
Tyler Linderbaum, who I believe wasn't even top 10 in the fan vote as well, which was outrageous, by the way. I was very glad to see.
I'm looking at it now. That's quite impressive.
Because I noticed that when, obviously, you sent it into our chat the other day, and I didn't have a proper look at the graphic. All I did was see obviously the first one was center, and see that Linderbaum wasn't there. And I think maybe that was enough for me to click off it, because I was like, hopefully this will change by the time the actual rosters get released. Because him and Creed Humphrey are two of the best centers in the league. Drew Dalman, I'm glad he got his respect. He's been a great acquisition for the Bears. And Cam Jurgens, it can never go understated. They lost Jason Kelce. And Jurgens obviously was a guard stepping into that center position and helping them out big time.
I've got an AFC one that I'll throw in. A guy that was basically thrown away by his previous team, was very poor for them in ways, should I say, but has come to a new team, has been phenomenal, is Garrett Bradbury for the New England Patriots. I think he's done a really good job in what he's been able to do for that run game. He's been very good. NFC-wise, I think it's nailed on. But again, for those AFC teams, Creed Humphrey, Tyler Linderbaum, is so hard to go above them. I just think that's the safe bet, really.
It's the issue, isn't it? Because, Creed and Tyler Linderbaum are the guys that they deserve to get voted in because they're just that good. But if you could replace them to, like you say, Garrett Bradbury and Aaron Brewer with the Dolphins, he's had a decent year as well. And that's another guy who's been snubbed, I think. Well, it's one of those things where you want to say he's been snubbed, but has he really been snubbed? Because the top two guys are just that good.
Yeah, so true, so true. Let's go to guards, Sam. We have Chris Lindstrom, Tyler Smith, and Joe Tooney for the NFC. AFC, Quinn Miners, Quentin Nelson, and Trey Smith. As again, the Bears leading the fan vote with Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson, I'm surprised didn't make it. I think both Bears guys did a phenomenal job to get in. Tyler Smith coming in as a rookie, really good. Like that a lot. Chris Lindstrom, I feel like, is the reason that Bijan has had quite a lot of his success in the run game. That was the game that I had on for the early slate, just the late slate as well on the side, just because of how well Bijan. I didn't realize how good he was at times. You just think his explosiveness is unbelievable. I think it's really tough to actually find replacements here. If there's anyone, I think Trey Smith kind of doesn't deserve it. But who do you replace him with?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I was just looking at the fan vote, and I noticed our boy Gray Zabel in at 7 fan vote. How about that? I mean, it is one of those ones. Offensive line's always going to be a tough one because there's going to be the players voted in because they've been a good offensive lineman throughout their career, and we said it with the centers. Trey Smith's a guy who's just been unbelievable since he stepped into the league. So, it is kind of who do you replace him with? Quentin Nelson, obviously, very deserving. Quinn Miners as well. Daniel Farr-Lele should have made it, Miles. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh my god,
Doesn't even deserve to be a pro, let alone in the Pro Bowl.
I think when you look at guards, you have to say, right, who's had like a really impressive run game, and that doesn't have to be, having one running back go for 2,000 yards or 1,800 yards. It's looking that whoever they've got behind them is going to do a phenomenal job. And I think if you look at any team, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whoever they've had behind them, whether that be Gainwell, whether that be Warren, they've been able to run the ball. I believe it's Isaac Sumalo who has been a key to that run game, and I think if anyone is to go above Trey Smith, it's probably him. Looking at the fan vote, Joel Bitonio was the other AFC guard. Again, you look at how well that Browns run game has been. Again, deserved of position to make it into the Pro Bowl. Tackles, Sam. Let's start off NFC. Penei Sewell, Trent Williams, Tristan Wirfs making it in. AFC, Joe Alt, Garrett Bowles, and Dion Dawkins. Any replacements, Sam?
Replacements is hard to come by. Again, I just want to come back to what I said. Offensive line, they're going to be voted in because they're perennial top players in the league. You look at the NFC side, you don't even have to have watched a single game this season, and you're probably going to vote for Sewell, Wirfs, Williams,
yep.
And with the AFC as well. I mean, Garrett Bowles obviously very deserving, been phenomenal. Dion Dawkins as well. Joe Alt getting in was interesting. How many games has Joe Alt missed this season?
That's the only position.
A lot.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of he has been phenomenal. Is he done for the season now? I can't remember.
I think he is. He is done for the season.
Yeah,
he's obviously had 2 injuries that have caused him to miss separate times in this season. But when he has been in, he has been. But I think he's been the best AFC tackle by a country mile. In regards to AFC replacements for him, I honestly don't think there are many. Ronnie Stanley might be the one that kind of creeps in. But
it's one of those things. There's a gulf between the top bracket and the second bracket. I don't think Stanley's good enough to replace any of those 3. I'm looking at the fan vote, very NFC dominated. There's not a single AFC player in here outside of the ones that are already in, as in Garrett Bowles and Dion Dawkins. So. Other than that, I mean,
I think if there was one to have a full season, Josh Simmons from the Chiefs, I wouldn't mind to see that. I think he's been very good. NFC, Andrew Thomas. I think there's obviously Giants players don't get well represented with their record, but if there's any player that has been very good for the Giants, it's been Andrew Thomas.
Yeah.
Defensive tackles. I have many a bones to pick with this one. NFC, Jalen Carter, Leonard Williams, Quinnen Williams. AFC, Zach Allen, Chris Jones, and Jeffrey Simmons. NFC is completely wrong. I think the only one I'd keep there is Leonard Williams. I would have Byron Murphy.
Nice.
From the Seahawks. I think both Seahawks defensive tackles absolutely deserve to be in there. And I would honestly have both Rams defensive tackles. One, Kobe Turner's amazing. And he is the cornerstone of that defensive front. But also, my love for Poona Ford doesn't go unnoticed. And I think he deserves a Pro Bowl.
Definitely needed one of them in, didn't they?
Yes,
definitely needed one of them.
They absolutely deserve it.
They've both been phenomenal. Byron Murphy as well, leading the fan vote just his second year in the league is awesome. We were excited for him coming out of college. Felt like rookie season we didn't see as much as we wanted from him, but it's really started to settle in now. And him paired with Leonard Williams that's just a phenomenal duo, isn't it?
I don't know if you saw, Sam, Macaulay Culkin, the complete curveball.
Oh yes,
he did an interview where it was like, he was doing like Death Row Meals or something like that. But he's a massive Rams fan.
Yeah.
And he did like, who's your favorite Rams player? And he was like, it's Poona Ford by a country mile. Like, he's so good. And I was like, that man knows ball. I rate that man a lot now. He absolutely nailed that pick with Poona Ford. AFC, Zach Allen, Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons. Thoughts, Sam? Any changes?
My biggest bone to pick is Zach Allen not being a starter, I think, if that's my biggest issue.
Yeah.
I think Zach Allen's the best of those 3 there, where he's played this season. Chris Jones was one that caused a little bit of, I don't want to say outrage. I think, where do you go into the Chris Jones? I think, again, it comes down to the fact that Chris Jones, popular name, it's usually, he's played well this year. He's not been at the level he has been in the past, but let's not take anything away from how well he's played this season. But yeah, it's you can kind of see why people are angry about it. Who's the snub that there's a big one that people are annoyed about. I'm trying to remember who it was.
I'm looking in the fan vote, and there's nothing jumping off the screen. Grady Jarrett obviously being on
Cameron
there.
Hayward was the one.
Cam
Hayward
Hayward
talking about it,
okay.
And I think he kind of sits in the same bracket as Chris Jones, where it's kind of like the assumption that based off their past, would be nice.
Are we voting this current season, or are we voting for his legacy?
It's got to be voted. It's got to be voted for this season.
That's the big thing.
It?
Yeah. With Zach Allen, he wasn't even the highest fan voted Bronco defensive tackle, which I found quite impressive. It was actually John Franklin Myers, who has been very good as well. Zach Allen has set the record for the most QB hits in a season last week, which I thought was pretty cool.
Did he not set that record last year or was that?
Yes, so he broke it last year, and he broke his own record this year. He's now on like 42 for the season. So, just playing at a complete freak level. Let's move on to defensive ends. Aiden Hutchinson, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Micah Parsons. AFC is Will Anderson Jr., Max Crosby, and of course, Myles Garrett. Any thoughts on this one, Sam?
I mean, AFC for starters. Where are we? Defensive end. Will Anderson, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. You can't go wrong with the top two. Max Crosby's been really good. I feel like you could probably make a case for Daniil Hunter. George Karlaftis in the fan vote there as well. I don't know if he's really at that same level. So you can understand why Crosby's in there. NFC side, Hutch obviously has to be there. Micah has to be there, but he will be getting replaced, obviously. DeMarcus Lawrence as well, and one of those guys who you kind of thought was going to slip off the edge of relevancy in his NFL career and moves to the Seahawks, and he's been a phenomenal piece for that defense.
Yeah, he's been astonishing for the Cowboys. I think in regards to players that have missed out, there's not many that jump off the screen. I think if you're going off the last 3 weeks, I'd love to see Cam Jordan in there for the Saints. I know it's probably going to be his last season as well, so you could give him the sympathy vote. But just from what he's done on the field the last 3 weeks, he has been, lights out for that defense. I think he's been very good.
I was going to say who we think might replace Mike. I was trying to have a look for the alternates, but it would be nice for Packers if Rashawn Gary was the replacement for Micah Parsons. But I think if it's going to give it to anyone, it's going to have to be. I'd love to see Montez Sweat there, but there's quite a few. There's a few decent candidates for the NFC. Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, obviously is
Brian Burns. Kind of
it becomes one of those things where I was going to say, he's already an outside linebacker, isn't he? Because that's one of the things that bothers me as well, is the defensive end and outside linebacker. The differentiate how
they cross over quite a lot in this.
Because Micah should surely be in an outside linebacker, not defensive end. But jack of all trades, isn't he?
He is. He absolutely is. Middle linebacker, Sam. NFC, Zach Bourne, Jack Campbell. AFC, Azeez Al-Shaair, and your boy Roquan Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
right. First of all, Carson Schwarzenegger's not in there. Can you believe that?
Azeez Al-Shaair isn't even a top 5 linebacker in the AFC, it feels like. I can't believe he's even made it. Schwarzenegger should be there. Jordan Brooks should be there. Devin Lloyd should be there.
Devin Lloyd. I honestly think the two... No disrespect to obviously your Baltimore Ravens, Sam. The two FC ones should be Devin Lloyd and Carson Schwarzenegger.
I genuinely think Roquan's been very good this year, but if he didn't make it and one of those two made it instead, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I think I find it very frustrating for those guys that Al-Shaair is in there, to be honest. Not that Al-Shaair's been bad this year, he's been good, but again, it comes down to if you want the best two in there, surely you've got to give. Schwarzenegger's 5th in tackles this year, I think, as a rookie. Jordan Brooks, who was leading tackles for so long.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now.
He still is.
I'm looking at this now and I actually think all 4 picks are wrong. I actually think both the NFC ones are wrong. I think Zach Bourne, people are voting from last season. I think this season he's actually not been that good. And Jack Campbell in recent weeks has probably been pretty poor if you look against that Seahawks team. The Seahawks. If you look against the Steelers team that they played against, I think he wasn't actually that great. the two NFC ones I'd have, Caden Ellis from the Falcons, I think deserves to be in there. I think he's, especially in pass coverage, he's really good. That whole Ellis family is just freak athlete after freak athlete. And then trying to think of it, Ernest Jones for the Seattle Seahawks.
Nice.
Again, what's he got, like 2 pick sixes or 2 defensive touchdowns or something crazy? He's been all over the field for that defense. And then, like I said, for the AFC, Schlesinger and trying to think of his name, Devin Lloyd. They'd be my 4 that I'd have.
And this is the thing, when you kind of look at inside linebackers, Nate Landman as well for the Rams, he's been phenomenal. And then if I just go back to the where is it? The tackles list. Let's not think about Bobby Wagner, what he's still doing, where he is age 35. And did I mention Jordan Brooks? I think I did, didn't I? Jordan Brooks from Miami, who's been up there with leading the league in tackles for so long now. But yeah, Devin Lloyd and Schlesinger would be they would be the top 2 that we'd want.
I think that's fair for them two to be our replacements there. Outside linebackers, NFC, Brian Burns, Jared Verse, Byron Young, 2 Rams making the list. AFC, Nick Benito, Tuli Talipo, who has been amazing for the Chargers, by the way, and TJ Watt. Again, like what is the level of outside linebacker to defensive end? Is Josh Sweat a defensive end or an outside linebacker? I think he's in with a shout. I'd love to put Jonathan Cooper in, but I just think those 3 AFC guys are in. Like, they've just been unreal this year.
I'm just trying to have a look for the fan vote. I can't even see. There's outside linebacker. So Josh Sweat was voted in as an outside linebacker.
Okay.
He was 4th in the fan vote.
I've got another one. Again, depends if it's. I think this might be more defensive ends. Chase Young.
Yeah, Chase Young.
I think he's been really good.
I can't see him in. I think he was a defensive end for the voting, though. I saw his name a minute ago. Where is he? Oh, I can't find it. Yeah, but no, there you go. Oh, outside linebacker.
Okay.
So someone here saying he could replace Byron Young, so we get a Young for Young swap.
No, Byron Young, absolutely. I think out of the 3 NFC ones, he's the best one out of the 3 of impact they've had on that team.
Verse,
I think he's been more impactful on the Rams than Verse. I think if I was marking it 1, 2, 3, I'd go Young, Burns, Verse.
It's interesting with the, like we say, with the outside linebacker. They've got TJ Edwards in the fan vote. I always thought of him as, I don't know. I guess outside linebacker, I always just think of more of the pass rushing outside linebacker than the coverage outside linebacker, because it kind of obviously depends on the system.
Exactly. Bears are very 4-3 strong.
Yeah, exactly.
If you think about it, and that's why TJ Edwards plays on the outside there. But
it's just it makes the voting different to me, because then TJ Edwards is having to fight with guys who are getting 15 plus sacks a season, whereas he's living off good pass coverage and making tackles and stuff like that, and those kind of stats, which are less visible and less eye popping, which is why he's probably not going to get votes.
For outside linebackers, I feel like when you're looking at the voting, it's sacks first, and then you probably go interceptions. I honestly don't think tackles even comes into it for that. It's quite a tough position to manage. Let's go cornerback, Sam. NFC, we have 2 Eagles: Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, J.C. Horn and Devon Witherspoon. AFC: Christian Gonzalez, Derek Stingley, Pat Surtain, Denzel Ward. Don't you dare throw a Raven in that chat. Who are your
snubs? The closest we would have would be Nate Wiggins, but he's
no,
not quite
especially
there,
not Marlon Humphrey after that dreadful performance.
Oh dear.
Go on.
Any podcasting?
Any snubs here that you'd have?
I think it's interesting to see the 2 Eagles there. I thought it's a nice list for the NFC. I will say, guys who, off the top of my head, aren't exactly. Is this first nods for Witherspoon and Horn? I think. I'm not sure.
I feel like Devon probably been in it before.
It might be second for Witherspoon, or even second for Horn. I can't remember. But if I was gonna shout someone, and again, it comes down to obviously number 1 in the fan vote, because the Bears fans showed out. Nahshon Wright would have been a really cool Pro Bowl addition, just because of the the turnovers he's forced, the big plays, and it's quite funny. I saw a really funny comparison for him. They called him the Jameis Winston of cornerbacks, because one play he's getting bullied and burnt for a 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Next play, he's having a one-hander interception, sideline toe drag.
Yeah, something
Next play,
incredible.
He can't guard a crosser, and he's 5 yards behind his receiver. Next play, he's having a pick six. It's like, you never know what you're going to get from Nashon Wright, and he's exciting to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think JC Horn, Devon Witherspoon deserve it. I think it goes down to one of the Eagles guys. I honestly think Quignon deserves it, but Cooper probably doesn't. And I'd have Nashon Wright over him. What's he like? Tied second in interceptions. I just looked at picks of Devon Witherspoon. This is his third in a row for Pro Bowls.
Oh, wow.
JC Horn, this is his second though, so you're right on that.
I'll tell you what, I'm having a right giggle looking at the fan voting. The Bears fans really did show out.
They did a great
Tyreek
job.
Stevenson is fourth in cornerback voting, for God's sake. What are we doing? This is the guy who was responsible for the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then in 8th, they've got Nick McLeod.
Yeah, exactly. Nick McLeod. It's like, what are we doing?
They've done a great job with getting all their star players.
They're fan favourites, aren't they? Christ.
That's really good. Let's go to safety, Sam. Kevin Byard, Bear. No fan voting deciding that. He absolutely deserves that. Antoine Winfield, Buda Baker making up the AFC. Jalen Ramsey as a safety now. Carl Hamilton and Derwin James. No double Bears. Jaquan Brisker doesn't make it in here. But again, like, do you think it should be done as free safety, strong safety, or should it just be safeties in general? Because I wouldn't mind seeing 2 of each make it in.
Yeah, I think so. It's 3 safeties, isn't it? But then they'll clarify it. So like with the AFC, it's 2 strong safeties, and with the NFC, it's 2 free safeties. I think 4 and 2 of each would make sense. Again, it's one of those things where how many extra positions do you want to add into the Pro Bowl? Change how the voting works. One of the big snubs that had been talked about was Kalen Bullock for the Texans.
I think there's 2 AFC guys that deserve it of him, though. I think there's Cam Bynum. I think he's been amazing for the Colts. Let me be biased. Let me take Talanoa Hufanga as well. I think he's just been.
Thought you might.
He's been astonishing for us, especially in the run game. He's been amazing. But again, I don't think I'd take any of them over the 3 that have been picked. Jalen Ramsey's just been. It shows that he doesn't age. Carl Hamilton is the most versatile player probably in the NFL, and then Derwin James is still racking up hundreds of tackles each season. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things again, like Hamilton and Derwin are 2 of the best in their position. Jalen Ramsey, I think it's awesome. He's followed the Rod Woodson arc, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. Pro bowler at corner, pro bowler at safety. And it was quite exciting at the start of the season, actually, because he obviously had the trade to the Steelers, and there was talk about him playing safety. And I went back and watched some of his Florida State highlights of him playing safety, because he obviously did it in college, and when he was drafted into the NFL, he was drafted to be a full-time corner, but you could see that he had the previous experience at safety, and man, he looks good there still. So as a guy who looked a bit hit or miss at corner at times this year, he's definitely found a spot at free safety, hasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. He's been amazing for them. Special teams, Sam. We've got to talk about kickers, punters, the rest of them. Kickers, I think both are wrong. It's Brandon Aubrey, Cameron Dicker. I think you have to talk about records, what have been set this season. So AFC, I think, has to be Cam Little. You can't hit record-long kicks and not make it. And then NFC, talking about records, Jason Myers has a chance to set the record for the most points scored in a season. He does need about 40 points. It's a long shot for him to make it, but he's far and away, like he broke Cam Dicker's like modern day record by quite a way. So,
start subbing him in for sneaks on the 1 yard.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. If you want to break it, that's the best way to do it. I honestly think it is just them 2 that kind of deserve it.
I'll tell you the other guy, Will Rijkaard of the Vikings, who's
been
putting up good numbers.
They've needed a kicker for years.
Yeah. And I think I saw a stat the other day about his points over expected, which I think for a kicker is a very big metric. When you're hitting the tough field goals, and especially in crunch time as well. So he was definitely up there as well. But Brandon Aubrey it's hard to dethrone a guy like that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Kick returners, I think, is nailed on. Rashid Shaheed, Chimara DK. think there's no arguments there. Rashid Shaheed is just he's paid off his value just from this week's performance against the Rams in kick returns. And Tamari DK, if you I don't know if you saw it, someone posted their sleeper of like all-time scores this season, and they added kick return and punt returns into it, and Tamari DK is like the number one player by a country mile. Like he's
on fantasy.
On like someone posted it on like fantasy. If you put in kick return, punt return yards, he's the number one player in the league.
That's
like
jokes.
He's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Punt return. Punt return. Punters. Tressway, Jordan Stout. I have no. You're surprised, or
no? I'm very happy to see Jordan Stout there. He's one of the guys who they mentioned it Sunday night. I think it's his net punt average is the highest in the league, which is always a good metric for punters. I think when it comes to the punters, it's like it. Do you like guys who are good at pinning them inside the 5? Do you like guys who have the big leg? Realistically, you could pick almost anyone.
I have no idea how they pick the punters, but fair enough. Same with the special teamers, Luke Gifford, Ben Skoranek. I've got no arguments there. Even with the long snappers, right? How do you vote for long snappers? Is it tackles made on punt coverage?
It must be.
It's the only way I can think about it.
I feel like that'd be a good laugh, wouldn't it? Looking at stats for tackles, but specifically by long snappers.
Yeah, I don't know how they do
see if
that.
I can find that.
Tackles for long snappers. There's surely no metric for that.
I mean, well, Ross Matishtik is leading. He's leading the pack with 4 in 2025. Good on him.
That's
the
awesome.
guy I voted for was Trent Sieg, because I saw one play of him a couple of weeks ago where he ran down a punt for the Cowboys and
I saw
someone,
that,
didn't he? Yeah. So, but
I honestly, there's no arguments for those guys there. Notice this season though, I'm sure in previous years they did punt returners and kick returners. This year they've only done kick returners.
Yeah, I thought they did as well. It's a shame that they've just done return specialists. I mean, I suppose they're often the same people, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, but still, it could be nice to give different people their flowers.
True that, Sam. True that. That wraps up the segment on Pro Bowl snubs. Should we talk about some football?
Let's do it.
I think we should just start off with we'll just talk about the most impactful games on the playoff standings this week. Starting off, Rams Seahawks. Big talking point is the 2-point conversion. Obviously, it's the rules. It was a backwards pass. It's a live ball. I just feel like it doesn't feel valid on a 2-point conversion. That shouldn't be allowed. Yeah. It proves that you should play to the whistle and you should always pick up fumbles and things like that. But it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me knowing that's what's decided this division.
Yeah, I mean, it's really rough when you think, these are the little things. We always say football's a game of inches, and it's the little things like that which decide games, and then we'll go on to decide playoff seedings and whatnot. If there's one thing that you can say, I feel like if the ball was live and the whistle wasn't blown, the Seahawks would have recovered it anyway. I think Charbonnet was closest. He was first to react, but obviously you can't live in a world of what ifs on that kind of thing. You got to feel that the Rams were quite hard done by. But the rest of the game was good, wasn't it? Very good game going into overtime as well. The Seahawks going for 2, doing the right thing. Obviously, a tie wouldn't have helped them. So, what's his name that stepped up as well? The tight end. I've forgotten what his name is. Who had the final catch?
I still not AJ
Barner. It's not even coming in the box score. No, it was the guy who. Why has he not got a stat for it in the box score?
You've lost me here.
Eric Sauber.
Eric former Bronco. Eric Sauber.
Yeah, because he's the guy. I don't know why, but I saw him and I thought, I don't know if Eric Sauber ever played for the Bengals, but the guy I thought of was Tyler Eifert. I don't know why, but
Mr. No ACLs himself, Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, it just brought me back to like just having a random tight end pop up and get.
By the way, Tyler Eifert. If you want to talk about athletic tight ends that didn't live up to their potential, he's like. he's that 1 year guy, that streets won't forget Tyler Eifert, because that 1 year he was astonishing. Him and Andy Dalton had some connection. But yeah, Eric Saubert is he's a lot more of a blocking tight end, put it that way.
Yeah, he is. Was it 2015? Because it's quite funny. 2015, Tyler Eifert had his big year, and it was only 615 yards.
I know.
It was 13 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was so good that year.
Outrageous.
Tyler Eifert, what way to
Sorry,
start?
a bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's go back to modern day tight ends and AJ Barner and Dennis Allen. The main player the main talking point for this whole game is Puka Nacua. For good and bad. I mean, obviously there was the tweet that came out after the game, him blaming the guys in stripes for causing the game. But you go for 12 catches, 225 and 2 touchdowns, with the long touchdown in overtime as well to take the lead. Serious player, man. See, despite not having your number 1B receiver, that being Devontae.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? Devontae Adams. It makes a difference.
Absolutely.
It obviously changed how they could operate on offense. It obviously would have changed how they worked on the goal line. Although it's quite funny, the touchdown, the short touchdown that Puka Nacua had on that slant, that was the beautiful Stafford no look. Felt like it was one of those ones that they'd drawn up for Devontae, but obviously no Devontae, so they just said, hey, Puka, get in there and do his job. Miles, I'm going to quick fire question for you. Answer as quickly as possible. Who's the better wide receiver, Puka Nacua or Jackson Smith-Njigba?
Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've spoken enough about Jackson Smith-Njigba this season. If you look at Puka Nacua, the defenses are still focused on who's on the other side of the field as well, that being Devontae Adams. Jackson Smith-Njigba, the whole focus of the defense, he's been double coverage like over 50% of plays this season. That's how good he is. Like, I just think he is such a talent in the NFL, and I would love to see him. There's no chance he gets 2,000 yards this season, is it? But imagine if he did,
1637 he's on at the moment. It's not going to get there, is he? Unfortunately, but
hey,
he was very quiet
200
yards
games,
half, wasn't he? 200, yeah. 1 300-yard game, Mars, and we're getting close.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen.
No, it's not.
He was quiet in the first half, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was very quiet in the first half.
Stepped up after that. Stepped off the second half. Overtime was phenomenal. As a guy who was playing against JSN in fantasy this week, seeing the game in the third quarter and thinking, hello, this is good news for me.
Chance
and then watching overtime and being like, he's going to get a touchdown in overtime, isn't he? And lo and behold, he does.
Yeah.
But
that got me as well. The late touchdown, I was playing against him in a fantasy game as well, so that knocked me out of our league as well, Sam. That killed me. Notice
it could have been worse. Could have not made the playoffs.
Yeah, don't get fantasy tips off Sam for everyone listening.
Yeah.
I noticed though, fun fact, since the new overtime rules, Seahawks are the first team to win an overtime game whilst not receiving the ball first. There's a fun fact for you.
Is that right?
Yes, they're the first team.
They were
the
first to win on a 2-point conversion as well, right?
Sorry, it's not getting the ball first. It's yes, that's it. It's giving up a touchdown, going back, scoring, and then getting the 2-point. The first team to do
2-point to win it. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's good. It changes. It changes how the strategy works for taking the ball at overtime. Mm-hmm. I find it a little funny because in some ways I feel like it hasn't really changed anything, because the whole reason they gave the teams that second possession was so that they could have a turn on offense as well. But it almost feels like now the first team is the team who starts on offense is now disadvantaged because they don't have a chance to go for the win. They just have to hit the touchdown, hit the PAT, and just hope. Well, it makes you wonder whether there's going to come a time where a team will get the ball first and go for two, anticipating that they're going to need it.
Yeah.
And if we see that would be
take
some balls, wouldn't it?
I want college
rules would be great.
That's what we're missing big time. I think we're not far away from it as well, especially with this being the first time that someone's gone down the field and replicated the touchdown with the 2 points. So I wouldn't think we're far, many seasons off it. Let's go on to Bears-Packers, Sam. 22-16 in overtime. Caleb Williams dime at the end of the game to call it basically for them. What I loved is when he threw it, instantly hands in pockets, knew that he scored. I've got it. While the ball was literally just left his fingers. Amazing play. this Bears offense is clicking now. This is exactly what we wanted to see. They are now 11-4. They've got a game and a bit or game and a half lead over the Packers for this division. It's looking good for the Chicago Bears.
It really is, and Caleb getting all the plaudits for that throw. Let's not forget DJ Moore's catch as well. Unbelievable in the way he stepped up. Obviously, Rome Odunze has been absent recently, hasn't he? And DJ Moore, who, a lot of conversation about whether he was needed in this Bears team, especially with the way he didn't seem to be getting involved and whether he'd be moving on. But yeah, he stepped up big in this game. The Packers defense did well. Without Micah Parsons. They started the game really well, had a great first half, but it wasn't to be in the end, especially with Jordan Love leaving the game. That's big to see how he, monitoring his, he's limited participant in practice yesterday.
They're not a Christmas Day game, though, are they?
They are not. No, because the Christmas Day games are horrendous this year.
Yes,
as we'll get on to later. No, of course they play the Ravens this week.
Oh,
so this could be big for us.
This is big for the Ravens.
We're already basically out, but let me just hold on to a little more hope. Just let me stretch out my misery.
What's your percentage at the moment? A whopping 9% currently.
I don't know if that's what I'd expect it to be.
If you lose, obviously you're basically out, and if you win, you go to 22%.
Yeah, we'll get onto it in a minute, but. I'm not happy with Detroit, Miles.
I don't blame you. I'd like to say something. Is Malik Willis the next QB project for a Kevin O'Connell or a Sean McVay or something like that? Is he going to be the next one, or the next Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold?
Touchdown pass was a great throw. It's got to be said. And then you see his stat line. 9 completions of 11. It's good completion percentage, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. He didn't play badly, and we've seen this since he's come in. But not to forget the 44 rushing yards as well. He's got that sort of dual threat ability. I do feel like he could easily be one of those quarterbacks that was written off early into his career because he had to play for the Titans. He had to play for one of these poor teams, poor offensive lines, no weapons, bad coaching. And they just slowly ran him out the league. I'd like to see him get a second shot. There's a lot of backups in the league that you'd like to see get a second try. Kevin O'Connell would be nice. I don't know if the Vikings will take on Malik Willis, but this could be an opportunity for him to go out against the Ravens this week if Jordan Love isn't able to suit up. And it's a big game for both teams, but they're still big games for the Packers. Because the Packers, realistically, we've got a bit of a dream scenario right now because the Packers-Bears could play a third time this season in Soldier Field with the way the standings are currently, right? 2 seed and the Packers is the 7 seed. I'm excited to see where the Packers end up because they could easily be a very, very much of a dark horse team in the wild card rankings, but it's quite wild when you look at the standings. They've got to be mad when you look at like the 4 seed being the NFC South, and they're basically free food for whoever's going to be the 5 seed.
Well, I mean, we can quickly talk about the NFC South because we had the first deciding game this week being the Panthers and the Bucks. It was the first time that the Bank of the Bank of America Stadium got sold out.
Is that right?
All season,
wow.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. They did a great job of filling that out, but they scraped a win, is what it felt like. It wasn't as convincing as I thought it'd be. I don't think either team was convincing, but Baker basically throwing the game away at the end with the interception. It will go down to the final game of the season because if you look at schedule, I think the Panthers have the Seahawks, is it next? And then the Bucks have the Dolphins. Now, let's be real. The Bucks will beat the Dolphins and the Panthers will probably lose to the Seahawks. So that means they'll be on equal record. And by that point, the Bucks will be leading the division over the Panthers. It then goes into Tampa, final game of the season for Tampa versus the Panthers. Who will take it? Nobody knows. I'm still thinking if you're going off this game, who looked the stronger team? It is the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Bucks as well, you can't even make excuses now because they are a lot healthier. They've got players back. That they're still struggling, but when you look at the way they were at the start of the season, I think they're like 1-6 since their bye week. It's been a really tough stretch of games. To be fair to them, some tough teams in that stretch, especially the first. They lost 3 on the bounce, but it was the Patriots, Bills, and Rams. We can give them some slack there. But since the Cardinals win, losses to the Saints, Falcons, and Panthers, all divisional rivals.
Yeah.
Because not even for the sake of losing those games, but when you think about what that does to your divisional tiebreakers, if it wasn't for the way it's going to end up with the Panthers, it's going to be 1 game clear either way, depending on who wins that. But if it did come down to divisional tiebreakers, they're very much tanking that tiebreaker for them with those losses there. The other thing is Todd Bowles, man. How are you going to blitz? Was it 7 people when you know the Panthers are just going to throw it to the end zone, leave someone one-on-one on an island with Tet McMillan, who's massive and always going to win those jump balls? And I think it was Jamel Dean in coverage. To be honest, it was terrible coverage as well. That it's just, there's one of those things that it seems to be the case with the Bucs at the moment. It's the coaches not putting the players in the position to succeed, and it's the players not putting the team in the position to succeed. It's not going right for them at the moment. The coaching's been poor, and the players just don't seem to be hitting that standard that we'd like to see from them.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems obvious watching it. They're obviously trying to apply pressure to Bryce Young on that throw, but it's Tetairoa McMillan. Like, he's just a freak of nature. He's easy going to grab it. Let's move on. Jags beating the Broncos. I mean, if you just talk about complete performances, the Jacksonville Jaguars were phenomenal on all aspects of the game. Broncos obviously have the best red zone defense of all season. They were nothing compared to the Jacksonville Jaguars there. The Jags went 4 out of 5 trips of touchdowns in trips down there, which is astonishing. I mean, they just played a phenomenal game. I think I'm hoping that it's a bit of a wake-up call for the Broncos, especially with, you've got your game against the Chiefs this week on a short week, and then it's the long preparation for the division decider against the Chargers on the final game of the season. So all eyes will be on that game. It's not set in stone. It's still up for grabs for both teams. So it'll be a good watch.
Yeah, and this is the performance we want to see from the Jags coming into the playoffs, where I was quite adamant that the Texans would win this division, but this is a statement game for the Jags, and they need to hold on to this division. They've got the game lead, I think, don't they? So they need to win out, make sure they can secure that. What will it be, 3 seed now? Or I suppose it could go up, couldn't it? Realistically, with the
they can still get the 1 seed.
Are only a game ahead, so if either of them drop a game, we kind of don't expect it to happen. Maybe the Broncos Chargers that'll be a big one, won't it? In terms of deciding that.
The position. Patriots and the Broncos lose 1, and the Jags win out. The Jags will get the 1 seed.
But then the Patriots have, the Jets and the Dolphins.
So they're not going to lose 1.
I don't expect them to lose. So I think the way I'm seeing it at the moment, I think it basically all comes down to the Broncos-Chargers game. That's going to be the big one. Obviously, the Chargers do have the Texans this week as well, so that's going to be big for the
game.
Chargers' sake. Because realistically, the Broncos, I mean, we don't expect them to lose to the Chiefs this week. But, there's still lots of seeding changes that could happen in the AFC. But the Jags, again, I as I've said, I've not been too high on them this year. I feel like I haven't really, given them credit for how they've played this season. But they've had, 6 wins on the bounce now, and they're putting up points. The defense is playing well. Colts and Titans to end the season is 2 nice, easy games that they should be able to win both of. Take them into the playoffs. They might be able to make a good run at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously going to come down to most of the final game weeks where we see the divisional matchups, especially if you look at I hate to bring it up, the Patriots beating the Ravens, Sam. That's obviously, kept the door open for the Patriots to win the division. They've now got a solid 1-game lead over the Bills. Like you said, playing against 2 weaker teams. Bills have the Eagles and I think the Jets to finish off. So the Eagles game is going to be tough, but it's almost set in stone now that the Patriots are going to win that division and the Bills will be a wild card team. Who would have thought that, Sam?
And, it's a good story for Josh Allen. Get on the road and go win yourself some playoff games again. And, it'll be a great narrative for him if he can get the Bills into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see. Right, Sam, let's go through predictions for Week 17 of the NFL Christmas Day games. Like you said, stinkers. Cowboys Commanders to set it off. This could have been a playoff game. It really could have been if injuries didn't exist.
Realistically, the script writers, the schedule makers,
the
script writers, yeah, the schedule makers cooked with the Christmas slate. This is if we cast our minds back to last season, this is an unbelievable slate of games. Dak Prescott versus Jaden Daniels, Lions versus Vikings, who were fighting for the 1 seed last year, Broncos versus Chiefs, head to head. Two playoff contenders, and instead we're going to see Josh Johnson. Is it going to be Max Brosmer or JJ McCarthy? JJ McCarthy should be healthy now, shouldn't he?
Oh yeah,
so at least we get that. But Chris Oladapoun for the Chiefs, who, you know what, I was quite proud of myself, Miles. He came on the field and I said that's the Steelers' 7th round pick from the 22 draft, because that's that one completely irrelevant piece of trivia where if they bring up the 2022 draft and they show you all the QBs that got drafted, you could like the teams, you can go through, you can go by team, you can go Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, you can go through and you can get them off, and then you get to the Steelers in the 7th round, like they already picked Pickett. What are we doing down here? Yeah, so it's interesting to see him get. I imagine his first start. I'm pretty sure it was.
Well, it'd be his first start, but he played against the Broncos last year. But obviously, Carson Wentz started that game when they'd sealed the division. Right, well, Cowboys. It wasn't even a start. It wasn't even a start. Terrible quarterback schedule here. But Cowboys Commanders, Sam. Who have you got?
Cowboys.
I will go Cowboys. No, I won't. I'm going to go Commanders. Mix it up.
You want to pick Josh Johnson?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Josh Johnson. I don't care. Give me Josh Johnson. Lions, Vikings.
I can't believe the Vikings are a 7-win team the way we've been talking about this year.
I know.
Lions must win. The Lions. And I'll tell you what, a really interesting narrative. It was the Lions who put forward. Was it the Lions or the Packers that put forward the idea of the 4 seed not going by divisional winners but going by record?
I think it was the Packers, but
okay. Because I was going to say, because if it was the Lions that put it, because in my head I had it was the Lions that put it forward, and the Lions are now in that position where they're looking at the Bucks and Panthers going, how the hell are you going to get in the playoffs while we have to sit here on the outside looking in, even though we know we're a better football team. But the Lions, they haven't been great the last few weeks, it has to be said. They definitely weren't against the Steelers.
I mean, that Steelers game, they were terrible. But I will still take the Lions as well to win this must-win game. Broncos Chiefs in Kansas City, who have announced they're now moving their stadium to Kansas. They will be the Kansas Chiefs from now on, but they obviously won't be. But give me the Broncos. I don't care. Give me the Broncos.
Got to be done.
That moves on to 20 Saturday games. We've got 2 Saturday games. Texans Chargers. I need a Texans win. Big Tom. But I do think the Chargers will win it.
Okay. I'll tell you what, Raiders gave the Texans a scare this week. I'm going to go with the Texans.
Okay. And then big game for both teams here. Packers Ravens to keep playoff hopes alive for both teams. Give me the Green Bay Packers. Sorry, Sam. Malik Willis is doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think you know what? It's not looking at whether Jordan Love is healthy. It's looking at whether Lamar Jackson's going to play. Because I actually haven't seen anything. Didn't participate in Tuesday's walkthroughs.
That's crazy, by the way. How can you not participate in walkthroughs?
He can't walk. That's how bad it is.
Just get on.
I'm really worried.
You know, like when they put their knee on one of the rollers. That's all you got to do, and you just hand the ball off a few times. You'll be fine.
I thought you were going to say like one of those segways that you stand on until
just literally on a segway, hand the ball off. That's all you got to do.
Oh, dear.
Scrambling out on a segway.
Yeah, the same speed as mimicking Philip Rivers escaping the pocket. Oh gosh. I mean, I don't even know. This could be terrible either way. I'm just gonna have to pick the Ravens.
I think you've got to pick the Ravens. Yes. I mean, it'd be really good if you somehow sneak in, but I just feel like it's inevitable for the Steelers to be the round.
It's such a long shot because we need Cleveland to do us a favour. It's just not going to happen.
Absolutely. Cardinals Bengals. Sam, who you got?
I go with the Bengals. They look great this week, didn't they?
I think the Bengals as well. Steelers, Browns. Give me the Steelers.
Give me the Browns.
You need the Browns.
Please.
Would be incredible. It really would just make that last game special. Saints, Titans. Give me the Saints. They're rolling.
They are. Yep, they really are.
Jack
thought we'd say that.
Yeah, I know. Jags, Colts. Give me the Jags to win that one.
I'm going Jags, but again, it has to be said, Philip Rivers, man.
What a player, man.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the stats look like. It doesn't matter whether
Do you
they
think
win
he'll
or
come back
lose.
next year if they miss the playoffs?
Wow, that's
Imagine
that's a
that.
good point. I don't think they would. I think the reason he came back, and we had a conversation the other day where my mate was saying that he looks terrible, and I can't believe they've given him the job over anyone else. It's just because he knows the system. They needed someone on quick time, didn't they? They didn't have time to teach someone the whole new offensive system. They had to bring in someone who knew what was going on. That's why he's in there. But I'm surprised. And I'll tell you what, there was a great little see the audible at the line of scrimmage to get Josh Downs wide open. Just
So
hearing
good.
him orchestrate at the line like a real vintage quarterback.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I miss that.
Bucks Dolphins.
Oh dear,
Quinn Ewers.
Bucks upset. No, yeah, I'll go Buccaneers.
I'm going Buccaneers as well. Patriots Jets. Give me the Patriots.
Yeah, Patriots.
Seahawks Panthers in Charlotte. I'm still going Seahawks.
It's big for Carolina. It's a home advantage, but yeah, I'll go Seahawks.
It's bigger for the
as well.
Seahawks. I honestly think they've got two teams hunting them down that need the division. So yeah, give me the 6-1
6-1 away from home as well. Seattle.
Yeah. Let's go Giants Raiders.
Giants 0-8 away from home. And I tell you what, this is one of those games where it looks boring, but there's a lot to play for because these teams have so much to lose, or so much to win. I don't know. This is a must-lose game for either teams.
Must-lose game
because this is near enough the number one overall pick game. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So interesting to see. I'm going to go with the Raiders. Get Ashton Genty the ball again. The man's a machine. I don't care.
Give me the Giants. God, what an awful game.
You
Eagles Bill.
look like Slaven Bilic. To be fair, I don't care.
I don't care. Eagles Bills. I'll take the Bills in Highmark.
Yes.
Eagles aren't that good. Bears 49ers. Massive game for both teams. Both teams hunting the division. Niners have a great chance to win this division, by the way. I'm taking the Niners.
Niners have a chance to get the 1 seed.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
And I honestly think they should. It's crazy enough to say that because they play Seahawks at home, final game of the season. So they could get the tiebreaker over the Seahawks.
They could.
Even despite what Seattle beating the Panthers. So, yeah, I'm taking the Niners to win the division.
They were phenomenal this week as well, weren't they? Damn, yeah, I'll go 49ers at home.
Rams Falcons, give me the Rams to win. Again, it's going to go down to the final day for that division, which will be really exciting.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Random touchdown, haven't even thought about it. Give me Josh Johnson touchdown.
I was literally about to say Chris Oladipo.
Go for it. All right, we'll take both.
No way. Give me. I tell you what. No Quinshon Judkins. Give me. Do I take Dylan Sampson or do I take? I'm going to take Raheem Sanders.
Raheem Sanders to get the touchdown there. I think he's probably going to get the start over Dylan Sampson actually, because Sampson's been injured for a bit.
Yeah,
I like that a lot, Sam. That wraps up this episode of 4 Down Territory. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say who was yours, and I realised you're actually going with Josh Johnson.
I'm going with Josh Johnson. I am absolutely going with Josh Johnson. That wraps up this episode of 4 Down Territory. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials, FDT_podcast. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you all next time.